What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at the Willpower Cup once again, and the team we're going to take a look at today is Claydol, Shadow Drapion, and Morpeko. Now this is not a normal Shadow Drapion. Today we're going to be looking at Ice Fang Shadow Drapion, because Ice Fang core breaks a lot of the top meta. If you just go down the list, we've got Claydol, Mandibuzz, Moltres, you've got things like Guzzlord, and Komao, Murkrow, Zweilous all take super effective from Ice. And you can see that right away in the Sims. In the one shield scenario, Shadow Drapion with Poison Sting goes 14, 21, and 1 against the meta for an average of 500. But the Shadow Drapion with Ice Fang actually goes, 20 and 16, which is a lot better record. A slightly lower average because you're losing harder on the ones that you are losing, but that's okay because you're going to lose them either way. So I'd prefer to have those wins. So without further ado, let's hop into some battles. All right, into the first match, we've got Claydol into Claydol, so mirror leads, but fortunately we're running Ice Beam on our Claydol. I've been really grilling into you guys how important Ice type coverage is in this meta, and the opponent actually overfarms as well, which means they might be on Ice Beam of their own. Ice Beam number 1 does connect against the Claydol, and that does some very solid chip. But because they let it go, I will also let it go. And no, my opponent is actually only on Scorching Sands. However, because they're on Scorching Sands, they're going to be able to outpace me by a single turn. But that's okay, or by 3 turns technically, 1 Mud Slap. They will get to a second Scorching Sands. I can shield that up, go for the full farm down, and now I can throw a super effective Rock Tomb into a Galarian Moltres that comes in. But unfortunately for my opponent, I have 2 good answers to Galarian Moltres in the back. I will go down to the Sucker Punches there, but now in comes the Morpeko, and the opponent blind switches into their own Morpeko, which means they are 1 turn behind my Morpeko, which means I will always be able to outpace, which is why my opponent let that go, hoping that maybe I would bait there, or that they knew they could survive at least a charge move. So I'm gonna no shield back. The opponent ends up baiting with a Psychic Fangs, which is kind of crazy, and now I can just overfarm here, shield this up, look for the full farm down, come out with 2 moves loaded for the Moltres, and this game should be over. Can we get the Thundershock farm down? We can. Now we have a little bit more than 1 Aura Wheel. We're nearly at the back-to-back, but we should be able to outpace the Moltres here. I believe has 4 Sucker Punches, which means we actually get to the charge move at the exact same time, winning CMP. Of course, Morpeko has a massive attack stat. Aura Wheel picks up the knockout on the Moltres, and we are able to take that win. Okay, into the next match, Claydol v Claydol once again. Yes, this Pokemon is absolutely everywhere, but gonna play it out the exact same way. Just gonna overfarm, go for the, or not overfarm, but just go straight for the Ice Beam here. The opponent ends up throwing on CMP, and we win CMP once again, which is really nice. That 2 attack, I guess, really coming in clutch in these matchups. The opponent ends up baiting with a Rock Tomb, so I'm going to bank that energy, come in with Ice Fang Drapion to look for the farm down, and the opponent comes in with a Mandibuzz. So clearly they do not have an answer to an Ice Fang Drapion in the back, and what I'm hoping is that this is another Claydol plus Dark Flyer team, because if it's another Dark Flyer in the back, then this game is already won with Morpeko. So I am able to make it to another Aqua Tail, and this Aqua Tail would put them probably in 1 Ice Fang farm down range. It does. That is perfect because they can't get another charge move off. Back comes a Claydol. Claydol is going to get Ice Fang farm down as well. What's in the back? It is another Dark Flyer, but this one is Murkrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that shield or do massive chip with the Aqua Tail. I grab a shield. Now in comes Morpeko. Morpeko can live any 1 charge move here. Murkrow is also very glassy, so that Drill Peck will still do some pretty meaningful damage, but it does not matter. We actually can't even get the full farm down before my opponent is able to get the Peck farm down, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that is okay because I can just come in with my Claydol here, shield up anything, and then just look to snipe with my own Drapion, because all it's going to take at this point is 1 Ice Fang to pick up the knockout. So I just need to align my fast moves by throwing 1, switching, getting the Ice Fang farm down, and we are able to take that win. Into the next match, we've got a Pawniard on the lead. So the opponent is going to save switch into Murkrow. I'm going to respond with my Morpeko. Morpeko, of course, is a complete wall to energy from the Murkrow. That being said, Murkrow is very glassy, so yes, these Thundershocks are adding up, but so are their Pecks and Drill Pecks. I will look to pick up the knockout here with the Aura Wheel, and the opponent actually does commit a shield, so potentially making a play for a switch, but I'm not going to let them go make that switch advantage without putting up a fight. I will at least look for the full farm down after committing a second shield. That is absolutely massive. Coming out with an aura wheel loaded, but the opponent gets the Fury Cutter through one turn, but in the back is a Moltres, and Moltres will be hit with the Ice Fang Drapion. Drapion, of course, resisting the Sucker Punches, so they're not adding up all that much. We get to the Aqua Tail, we grab that final shield, which means this game is over, because now all I have to do is make it to a charge move on my Claydol, and they let me get them so low that I can probably mud slap them down, so I will let it go. It's actually just the fly. We get the farm down, we come out with an Aqua Tail loaded, the opponent resigns the match, and we are able to take that win. Into the next match, we've got a Primeape on the lead. So the way I like to play out this matchup is because it's a little awkward, 2 Rage Fists aren't enough to pick up the knockout, but it's close. So what I do is I take 1 Rage Fist, and then I typically throw 2 Mud Slaps, wait the turn, and then catch onto my Drapion. By doing that, I also sneak an Ice Fang through, getting a little bit of energy, and I catch a resisted charge move. The opponent is actually staying in this matchup. They throw a charge move immediately, which means this can only be another Rage Fist. We do survive that. We're going to look for the full farm down. Unfortunately, it's a simultaneous KO, so we do lose all of that energy, but the opponent doesn't really gain an advantage out of that matchup, and we have a lot of energy on my Claydol. In the back is Morpeko. Now Morpeko will be hit with an Aura Wheel, and we win CMP with that 10 attack. That is absolutely massive. This Aura Wheel does some very significant damage, but it's not enough to pick up the knockout, but they are definitely in Mud Slap farm down range. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look for the full farm down. If I can't get it, I will catch a Aura Wheel onto my Claydol. The opponent comes in with a Sableye in the back, but Sableye will be hit with a Dark Aura Wheel. This will grab the final shield from my opponent, or is it? Yeah, the first shield from my opponent, my apologies. And they will throw their energy before I get to another charge move, but they're going to have to full send a power gem to pick up the knockout here. They bait with a foul play. That's huge. As soon as I call that bait, the opponent resigns the match, and we are able to take that win. In the next matchup, okay, the exact same lead. We've seen this before. Claydol in a Primeape. I'm going to play it out the exact same way. And I think this is the best way to play it out because that way you bank a lot of energy. This one overfarmed a little bit. They're at 7 Karate Chops. So instead, I have to just wait the turn after they throw the Karate Chop and then pivot into my Drapion. And you're going to see waiting turns and catching is really important for this team, especially when you're using a Mud Slapper, because it's very hard to catch otherwise. And that's kind of the best way to do it, hoping that your opponent doesn't realize that the animation isn't going through, especially because the game is inconsistent. Sometimes it doesn't show the animation. So we do end up grabbing a shield in the mid game with our Claydol. The opponent will look to connect with a charge move here. What's it going to be? It is the Scorching Sand, so we do live that pretty comfortably. And now we can connect with a super effective Ice Beam. Ice Beam from this range nearly one-shots the Claydol. We get the farm down, and now we have a shield advantage for whatever's in the back, but instead backing comes the Primeape. Primeape will look to pick up the knockout here with a Rage Fist. I am just going to let this go, and I'm going to trust in 2 shield Morpeko, but the opponent, they're staying in, and this is awkward. I get denied a fast move. That is so unfortunate, because if I came out with 1 extra Thundershock here, or was able to throw the Psychic Fangs before they got to a charge move, I wouldn't have to give up that shield. But unfortunately, I'm 1 short, so I'm going to throw the Aura Wheel. That is going to grab the first shield from the opponent. Now I have the Dark Aura Wheel. This is super effective damage. It will be enough to pick up the knockout, and now it's a race. Thundershock beats Thundershock, but I am too low, and unfortunately the Morpeko comes in. We get the simultaneous KO, so if we got that extra Thundershock through that we should have gotten, we would have won that game. So unfortunate that the game just still doesn't work as it's supposed to. But into the next match, a terrible lead. We come in with our Ice Fang Drapion into the Manabuzz lead, and my opponent responds with a Annihilate here. Annihilate will end up committing the shield on the Crunch bait, even though I did just go straight for an Aqua Tail. They do go for the Ice Punch, and that does allow them to go for a full counter farm down, which is a little bit uncomfortable. Of course, they will be able to get to a super effective move here, either Rage Fist or Ice Punch. I will let it go though, because I know 1 is not enough to pick up the knockout, and then I will look for the full farm down. But instead, my opponent has other plans. Instead, they come back in with a Manabuzz, and this gives me the alignment that I need, and that is absolutely massive. They do connect with the Dark Balls, but that does not matter. I can overfarm massively, farming up to the back-to-back Aura Wheels, and guess what? An Aura Wheel from this range one-shots the Manabuzz. It's super effective damage. If the Annihilate comes back in, I will instantly click the Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs is super effective damage. It will also pick up the knockout on the Annihilate, and now we have a loaded Claydol and a double boosted Morpeko. Morpeko only able to make it to one charge move here. Just going to go for the Psychic Fangs to lower their defense. That way these Mudslaps do more damage. But my opponent, not aware of the counts, ends up shielding that, which allows me to come in with the Claydol, make it to a Rock Tomb, and Rock Tomb is going to do some very solid chip into the red health range. We still have 2 shields left in play, so we may as well start using them. Body Slam, number 1, does grab the shield. At this point, I know this is only a Body Slam, and because I Rock Tomb debuff them, I'm going to no shield it because why not? Body Slam, not enough to pick up the knockout. We get the Mudslap farm down, and we are able to take that win. Into the next match, we've got Murkrow on the lead, so another Dark Flyer. Gonna have to get out of this matchup as this is a terrible lead. The opponent responds with a Lucario. Now, Lucario is tough because obviously Force Bomb is neutral damage and these Ice Fangs are resisted, but they let the Aqua Tail go, and suddenly I see a win con. I can flip switch in this matchup because Lucario is just a little slow to the charge moves. That allows me to get the full Ice Fang farm down, come out with a move loaded, and in the back is Metang. Metang will be hit with a Shadow super effective crunch unless they commit the shield. But this is exactly what I want because now they didn't get anything from that matchup. They didn't even get a shield advantage. Back in comes the Murkrow, but Murkrow will be hit with the Morpeko. Morpeko is a complete wall of energy. I will no shield this as I know I can survive one. They end up going for the foul play. That is the incorrect move to go for. Drill Peck is just a better move. So definitely always go Drill Peck in this matchup. That said, I will throw the Aura Wheel right before they get to another charge move. That picks up the knockout. Back in comes the Metang. Metang, unfortunately, will get the Fury Cutter farm down before I'm able to make it to a Dark Aura Wheel. The opponent is counting perfectly. They no shield that as that is double resisted. And now in comes Claydol. Claydol, of course, can take any one charge move, but why should I when I can get to a Rock Tomb to lower their attack before I take a charge move? Especially now that a Rock Tomb from this range will be enough to pick up the knockout. The opponent knows this game is over. They let it go, and we are able to take that win. In tonight's match, we've got Claydol into Hatterene. So this is an awkward lead, just because Charm does just a little bit less damage than the Mudslaps here. But if they make a really nice catch of the Rock Tomb onto their own Claydol, then we're in a very difficult situation because obviously I don't have a great response to a Claydol in the back, which is why I don't give them an energy lead. Instead, I come in with my Drapion right away, knowing that their attack is debuffed and their Mudslaps are going to do less damage. But that Hatterene has a lot of energy loaded still on the front, and Hatterene has access to Power Whip, which is super effective on the Claydol, and that's not really a matchup you want to be in. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go for the Aqua Tail. I'm going to fully undercharge it, leave it at 1 HP so that I get an extra Ice Fang through and that Mudslap doesn't register. Back in comes the Hatterene. We get 1 extra Ice Fang through because of it, and now back in comes the Claydol. Claydol will have to commit a shield here because Power Whip is super effective damage, which means Morpeko is left with no shields, which is very unfortunate. But it's not that unfortunate because there is a Mandibuzz in the back, and Air Slash Mandibuzz is just completely walled by the Morpeko here. So in comes the Morpeko. Their attack is already lowered, and we grabbed a shield with the Rock Tomb, which is absolutely massive. They will go for the Dark Pulse. That actually does very little damage to the Morpeko because we lowered their attack with that Rock Tomb. I now can farm up to the back-to-back Aura Wheels, and we've seen it from this range. Aura Wheel number 1 picks up the knockout on the Mandibuzz, and this Dark Aura Wheel is neutral damage on the Hatterene because it is half Psychic, half Fairy. Fairy resists, but Psychic is super effective. Dark Aura Wheel will pick up the knockout on the Hatterene, and we are able to take that win. Okay, into the next match. We've got Claydol into Claydol, so back to the mirror leads. Let's see how we want to play this out. Gonna play it out the exact same way, just gonna farm up to the Ice Beam and throw as soon as we get there. This opponent also loses CMP. That 2 attack on Claydol really coming in clutch for me in these matchups. The opponent does actually commit the shield here, which makes me think they are also running Ice Beam or Shadow Ball, and they do full send an Ice Beam there, so that is a good shield call. Knowing that I win CMP here, I'm going to go for the Rock Tomb in case my opponent decided to catch a resisted Ice Beam. That said, they stay in with their Claydol and they commit a shield on the Rock Tomb, which is absolutely amazing because now I can live this Ice Beam. I can come in with my Drapion, and Drapion can look to go for the Aqua Tail to pick up the knockout unless the opponent pivots, and in comes a Mandibuzz. So once again, we find this core of Claydol plus the Mandibuzz, and it is absolutely working out for us because all of these Dark Flyers are getting hard punished by the Ice Fang Drapion and the Morpeko in the back. That double dark, weak to ground, anti-flyer coverage in the back is really, really nice. Aerial Ace does pick up the knockout, but all that's going to do is let Morpeko come in here. I'm not going to commit to the full farm down, I may as well go for the aura wheel so I don't have to take this charge move, and this will be enough to pick up the knockout here. And if they come back with a Claydol, I can just make it to a Psychic Fangs to pick up the knockout. But no, my opponent has other plans. They have a Guzzlord in the back, and Guzzlord is a complete wall to energy here, but I don't think anyone told Morpeko that. Morpeko does more than 50% of the opponent's HP with a single aura wheel. I don't think they have enough for a Dragon Claw here, but I will respect it. They do end up just going for a Brutal Swing. In comes Claydol. Claydol will be hit with the Psychic Fangs. This is boosted, so this will be enough to pick up the knockout on the Claydol. And now all I have to do is make it to an aura wheel before the Guzzlord, but unfortunately because they baited, they're going to outpace, so I go for 3 Thunder Shocks. I catch onto my Claydol. Brutal Swing is super effective. It easily picks up the knockout. Back in comes Morpeko. Morpeko now able to make it to an aura wheel. Yes, this is resisted damage, but like I said, no one told Morpeko that. That easily picks up the knockout on the Guzzlord, and we are able to take that win. Into the final match of the video. Would you believe it if I told you mirror leads, Claydol v Claydol? It is absolutely everywhere. Are we going to win CMP once again? Can we go 4 for 4? No, the opponent is actually going to throw right away. So this is actually pretty nice because we know this is only enough for either a Scorching Sands or a Rock Tomb. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to overfarm massively, and now I will look to pick up the knockout with the Ice Beam, hoping that this is enough to knock them out, but it is not. The opponent lives on 1 HP. Now I'm going to let this go. I'm going to play this a little bit differently than I did that in that first matchup. In comes the Drapion. We get the Ice Fang farm down. What's in the back? It's a Morpeko. Now Morpeko does of course have access to Aura Wheel, which is neutral and would hit for massive damage. So I will actually commit the shield here, and then I will throw my Aqua Tail 1 turn before they get to their potential Psychic Fangs, because I don't really want them to lower my defense by throwing 1 before and then CMP tying. So I will now just go for the Aqua Tail to pick up the knockout, and if the opponent doesn't let this go, I'm probably just going to no shield the Aura. I don't know. Yeah, I think I can actually go for a full Ice Fang farm down. So I actually kind of agree with this play. It is the Psychic Fangs bait, which is pretty unfortunate. Does that mean they can get to another charge move? It doesn't look like it. We get the Ice Fang farm down. What's in the back? It's a Murkrow, and unfortunately for the Murkrow, we've got 2 anti-flyer dark types in the back. So in comes Morpeko, a complete wall to energy. We've already grabbed that final shield, which means this Aura will easily pick up the knockout, and we are able to take that win. But yeah, that is Ice Fang Drapion in this meta. A huge core breaker and definitely something worth exploiting early on in this cup. I've talked about how good ice coverage is in this meta. You see the Primeapes running it. You see some Claydols running it. You see Drapions running it. Especially after this video, you might see a couple more. But it's already floating about. I'm not going to take ownership over that. But this is definitely a team you could work with. Claydol, of course, struggles with those flyers as a Mud Slapper. So just have some answers to flyers in the back, and realistically, even if you can't win switch, as long as you can grab a shield, it's fine, because you can often Mud Slap farm down with Claydol and then come out with a super effective charge move for those flyers. So it's a really good balanced team in that sense. Of course, it is ABB, but that said, I think it was a lot of fun to play. I want to say a special thank you to the expert trainer members on this channel: Benny Hemlock, Dr. Green Mustache, So Patil, and Eliana, as well as the legend trainer members on this channel: Big Burden, Andrew Bitten, Mooseshoot, Noodleman, Speedster, Esteros, Liminal Lagomorph, Tom Spencer, Fast Idiot Boss, Jamie Finn, CD Laskas, and Caskel. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace!